Well, happy Monday. I wish I'd have been that guy that come up with that, that Sunday thing. I wonder if he gets paid for that. But I got Mondays, and I got Mondays with all of you. Mondays are always exciting because I get to share some great, fantastic people and things that are happening here in our community. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am your host, as always, David Burrows. And if you are watching here in Canada, then, of course, you know that this is a holiday weekend, Victoria Day. So happy Victoria Day to those of you here in Canada. For the rest of you in the rest of the world, you may not know, we're being simulcast in about 5 or 6 different places. We're live in Australia right now. The United Kingdom is watching us, Ireland, South Africa, throughout the United States, and of course, here in Canada as well. So you never know who's going to be watching. And wherever you're watching from, thanks for joining us here today. I hope you had a great weekend. Never lack of anything to do here in Sarnia, Lambton, that's for sure. And we'll talk about some of the things that happened over the weekend at the end of the show. But right now, I'm going to say hello to Christine Feege is out there. Hello, Christine. She's like, this one, wow, what a lineup. Yeah, so we've got some great guests coming up here today. Corinder, hello, Corinder. He's in the United Kingdom watching us as well. And there's Dom. Yeah, hello, Dom. He's here in Sarnia as well. So lots to talk about. Let's get right to it before we get to our guests. Of course, you've heard me talking about the tall ships coming to Sarnia, Lambton here in August from the 9th to the 11th of August. Not only will the tall ships be here, but this year, a special collaboration between Blue Water Border Fest and Artscape by the Bay. Pardon me. Now, get your tickets. Tickets for this tall ships, that alone, are rapidly selling. And I'm not making that up. So if you're thinking about it, stop thinking about it. Tall Ships Sarnia is, you can find them on Facebook, the Tall Ships Celebration, again, coming here in August 9th to the 11th. Blue Water Border Fest, a part of this as well, and exciting announcement that they've already put out. We had Mark Perrin from Blue Water Border Fest and Tourism Sarnia Lambton here on the show last week, and he talked about some really cool announcements. And then the most recent announcement, Dennis DeYoung and the Music of Sticks, coming as part of the Classic Rock Weekend at Blue Water Border Fest. And just before that, of course, they announced Lou Graham, the voice of Foreigner. I'm excited for that. Kelly Keegi from Night Ranger. You know Night Ranger. Go ahead. You're singing it right now, right? Okay. John Payne from Asia also going to be here. And some more announcements on the way. Stay tuned later this week. Now, currently, if you go to bluewaterborderfest.ca, you can, that's their website. You can start ordering your tickets online. VIP tickets are also available online as well. And more announcements coming up underway, and I will have some tickets here on the show in the future. In the future. See, I'm so excited. In the near future, I'll have some tickets to give away as well. We'll have a special contest for that, so I'm excited for that. And I'll be back once again as the Master of Ceremonies for Blue Water Border Fest all weekend. I'll have some behind-the-scenes interviews with some of the bands and some other cool stuff as well. I will be at Tall Ships. I'm going to be coming in on the Tall Ships Parade. And Artscape by the Bay is also a part of all of this. So they got me a driver and everything so they can get me to all the places that I got to be that weekend. Very excited for that. August 9th to 11th. Don't miss it, Sarnia. Nothing to do, huh? Right, whatever. Speaking of things to do, coming up this week on May the 24th, our friends, the Fat Cats, are going to be at Lake Point Grill House and Lounge. Have you been to Lake Point yet? The former Chippekin down on North Christine Street. I was in there the other day again for lunch. They have fantastic lunch specials. I'm not just saying that. They had a fantastic soup the other day and hot turkey, and they have great pulled pork. Try the pulled pork. And they also have live entertainment every Friday and Saturday evenings throughout the summer, and it starts at 7:30 on those evenings. So early enough. If you're old like me, you go early, you leave early, right? Okay. So get down there, check out the Fat Cats. Wolf Van Waldo and the boys are going to be playing there. Some jazz and fusion and funk and a little bit of everything in there. So Fat Cats going to be at Lake Point Grill House. What else we got going on? Oh, this is exciting. I almost forgot I had this in here. Sarnia Indie Night is happening once again at Theater 42 over here at 900 Divine. I say over here because that's just down the street from where I'm at. Give you away my location. Theater 42, the former 914 Hall, I called it back in the day. That was 20 years ago, David. It's the Unifor Hall here now. And they've turned it into a beautiful theater in there, Theater 42. They have trivia nights. They have theater and Sarnia Indie Night. My friend Harold Collins started speaking to me about doing this a couple of years ago, and he finally brought it to life earlier this year in January, and it was a great success. It's sold out, which is hard to do. So congratulations to him. They'll be having the kickoff to summer kind of party thing for Sarnia Indie Night. All independent music. Once again, it's only $15 at the door. A whole list of bands lined up to be there. And if it's anything like last time, it'll sell out again. So go to Sarnia Indie Night on Facebook to find out more about those $15 tickets and support local music. Speaking of local music, Sarnia Lambton Rebound Rocks program is having a fundraiser at Bottoms Up, also coming up this Saturday. Lots of great local acts are going to be there, and it's a $10 cover charge. And if you don't know anything about Rebound Rocks, it started, was it last year and a half ago? Don't quote me on that. But of course, our friends over at Sarnia Lambton Rebound, with many programs that support youth here in our community, started Rebound Rocks. That's right. It's music, rock stars, young to be rock stars, but they're collaborating and playing music together. Now, here's what happened when they had the launch of Rebound Rocks. I went down to Sarnia Lambton Rebound. I'll never forget this. I walked into the room, and there was 3 or 4 young folks on stage jamming out. And I talked to a few of the people down there, and they were like, yeah, these young folks have never even met each other. They just went up and started jamming together. And I thought, how awesome is that they just go up and they got something together they can collaborate with, and they're having a lot of fun. And now Rebound Rocks become a regular band that goes around to local events and performs. I believe they were at Blue Water Border Fest last year. So how amazing, right? And they were also at the Battle of the Bands that was down at the Suncor Agora last year as well. So support Rebound Rocks. Also support Sarnia Lambton Rebound and their youth programs. A fantastic organization here. Again, down at Bottoms Up, coming up this Saturday. All right, here's one. Here's a special one to me, actually. This is the Walk for Alzheimer's, which is happening this. I get to say it. Okay, you ready? I don't have the. Oh, I should have echo. Sunday. There you go. Down at the Suncor Agora, it's going to start there. And my father has Alzheimer's disease, and it affects many people. And I've been raising money. My wife's been raising money, and my family, my step family, and my immediate family, put a team in to raise some money. And there's about $11,000 raised so far between all the teams that are participating. And then the Rotary's going to be down there. They're going to have pancakes and sausages for us after as well. So if you have nothing to do, though, Sunday morning, about 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning, if you haven't registered yet, it's okay. You can just show up and register. Or here comes the plug. I have a special link that I'll share out as well. And if you are able to donate to help us reach our goal, I'll send you that link, and you can just click on that and make sure that it all goes to Alzheimer's Society here in Sarnia Lambton. For, it's not just about the folks who suffer from Alzheimer's, but it's the caregivers of those people as well. They need some support and relief as well. And Alzheimer's Society here in Sarnia Lambton provides all that. So that's coming up this Sunday morning as well. Learning for Lunches. This one's happening down at Grace United Church on Sunday. So you come for a walk in the morning. Here's what I'm thinking you do. You come for a walk in the morning. Right? You support Alzheimer's. Here's the pitch. Then you have pancakes and sausage. Then maybe you go for another walk so you can lose the calories from pancakes and sausage. And then we're going to go down and have burgers at Grace United Church to support their Learning for Lunches program. And of course, Public's welcome for that as well. So, it's a whole day of food and exercise. What could go wrong? All right, I'm excited about this one. Shameless self-plugging here. I don't do karaoke that often anymore. Of course, I did it for years, but I've had some folks reach out to me and say, "Come on, will you do that?" So once a month, they've talked me into being down at the Moose Lodge here in Sarnia, and last month we did it, and a whole bunch of people showed up. It was a great memory for me because there were some of my former karaoke regulars from over the years. 30 years. Wow. That showed up. I hadn't seen in a long time, and they were singing the songs they used to sing a long time ago, but we had a great party down there at the Moose Lodge. And the Moose Lodge, they got drink specials and food there, and it's a real fun atmosphere. So I'll be there this Friday night from 9 p.m. till 1 a.m. I can't go much past 1 anymore. I used to go till 2 or 3, but that was a while ago. So come on down and see me at the Moose Lodge. And if you don't sing, just come down anyway. We need people to clap and be an audience, right? So that works as well. So love to have you there at the Moose Lodge. And continuing on at the Moose Lodge, they have their panel games day. So this is darts, cribbage, and euchre. You put a team together of that. And again, the women of the Moose are always there cooking up food and doing lots of great stuff. And the Moose Lodge supports a lot of programs here in our community as well. So the money just doesn't go to run the Moose Lodge. It goes to give back into our community, which, of course, as you know, is very important as well. Wow. No, nothing going on in Sarnia. Hold on. I'm not done yet. The Inn of the Good Shepherds got their annual Surf and Turf, their 10-year anniversary for this, which is coming up on June the 13th. Pardon me. Now, I didn't get to go to this last year. I was invited to go, and I couldn't make it. So my wife, Jennifer, went. She doesn't even like seafood, and she had a fantastic time. So there you go. You don't have to like seafood. You can still go and have a fantastic time, and you can go on to theinsarnia.ca to find out more about that event as well. And, of course, the Inn of the Good Shepherd, it's not just about the food. They've got a lot of different programs that support the people in our community as well. So I'm going to try to get down there this year, June 13th. I was sad that I couldn't make it last year. 10-year anniversary for that as well. All right. Well, I think she's ready. She's smiling. She's in the lobby. She's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm ready." I don't know if I've ever had her on here before. It's been a really long time since. My friend Michelle Parks is coming on here now to talk. Very special. How you doing, Michelle?
I'm good. How are you, Dave?
I'm doing fantastic. I appreciate you being here. It's a holiday and you're still here. Are you taking time away from family?
Well, I'm actually sitting here with my Tampon Tuesday girls. So we're like having a little meeting, and that's awesome.
Oh, who else is there?
So I got Jennifer McCann, Susan McFarland, Kathy Millsap, and Adele Richard just left. So yeah.
Okay. And they're like, "But we're not getting in front of the camera, Dave, so don't even bother us."
No, like, come behind me, girls. Come on. Now they're like, "Oh, no."
They're afraid.
They are afraid. That's okay.
That's all right. Yeah. So I'm not sure that I ever thought I'd be talking about this on the show. Right? Because this is something new that's you and your girls are bringing to Sarnia. Tampon Tuesday.
Tampon Tuesday. We are like saying how many times we can get you to say tampon in the course of like you interviewing me. So when I first heard about it, right? Of course, Michelle, you and I have known each other a very long time, and you've been involved in a lot of community things. And then I saw this, and I went, "What? What is she doing now?" That's what you said.
But it was like, okay. So inquiring minds want to know, what is Tampon Tuesday?
So Tampon Tuesday is an initiative that they started in London in 2009. It was to bring attention to the fact that menstrual products were the least donated but most requested things in food banks in any sort of in all of Ontario and all of Canada and all of the world, I think. So I saw
news show on CTV News that was promoting this, and I thought, why don't we do something like this? So that in turn, like, Kathy messaged me saying, I want to help you do that. And Susan messaged, and Jen messaged, and a whole bunch of women messaged. And so I thought, let's do it. And we did it. And that's how this all came to be.
Right. So it's a much needed product. Like, you even talk about and this is part of this is going to the Inn of the Good Shepherd. Do I have that right?
Yeah. So all donations will go to the Inn of the Good Shepherd Food Bank.
Yeah. Well, and I guess it kind of led into that earlier before I brought you on, talking about all the different, services that the Inn of the Good Shepherd provides. We naturally think food.
Yes.
And that is much needed. Miles has me trained. It's 40,000 pounds of food every month, or an empty 20 by 40 swimming pool has to be filled every month.
Exactly.
But there's all that other stuff that goes on. And I think there's the people that are in this position that are, need the services of the Inn of the Good Shepherd. They have to make that decision sometimes. Do I eat or buy milk for my kid or this?
Yep. So I think that is what I saw the news story. I've never myself been in that situation, but I thought, oh my gosh, what would happen if I had to decide between buying milk for my kids and buying menstrual products? And what happens if I have 3 teenage daughters, and how am I having enough money to buy those products for my kids and myself? And it's just they're expensive. I know you don't have to buy them personally, but your wife has to buy them, right? And they're expensive. They're a lot of money, and that's what in turn brought me to bringing this event to Sarnia.
So you're right. I don't buy them, and I've never been sent to the store to buy them.
Lucky you. I send my husband all the time.
Yeah, I would do it. I don't care. I'd probably get the wrong brand or something. But can you give us an idea? How much is it to buy?
Yeah, so it's at least $10 to buy tampons or pads, and if you're having to use one set in a month, that's a lot of money. So imagine if you have 3 teenage daughters. So imagine 10, 20, 30, $40 a month that you're having to spend. Right?
Almost an internet bill.
Almost an internet bill.
So this is the first time it's happening here in Sarnia, obviously. So are you expecting a pretty good turnout? Are you getting a good response from the community at all so far?
We're getting a really good vibe, and I think people understand. And like I said, most women that I know haven't had to be in that situation. But if you just close your eyes and think for a second what you would have to do if you were in that situation where you couldn't afford them, can you imagine? I know you couldn't, but just ask your wife what you would do if you couldn't afford them, and what you would have to resort to. And, that could be putting sponges in your underwear, putting toilet paper in your underwear. And it's not only an equity issue, it's a health issue as well.
Well, that's a good point. That wouldn't have entered my mind to think of that. It was just, yeah, okay. So what kinds of things happen?
You're doing well. You're doing well, Dave.
I'm trying. Tampon Tuesday.
I know, it's Tampon Tuesday.
Yeah.
You're emceeing this event too.
Sorry, what's that?
I said you're emceeing this event. You got to say tampon a whole bunch of times.
That's right. What did you talk me into, Michelle?
I know.
This is happening down at the Workplace Group, and they're one of the sponsors of this event. Is that right?
They are. They have just been phenomenal, and everything they have put together. Nolene from the Workplace Group is an angel as far as I'm concerned. She's an angel that walks on earth, and I don't know what we would do without her. Yeah,
she's definitely a great lady, and does a lot for the community, and likes to support as well. So what's happening at Tampon Tuesday then? Okay, so you're having this at the Workplace Group down on Front Street, and it starts at 6 o'clock and runs till about 8 o'clock. Yep. What's going to happen in those 2 hours?
So we have a lovely lady from Exit Realty that is supplying some appetizers. We're going to have some wine served, or whatever alcoholic beverages your preference will be served from the grind right in the workplace group right on that first level. It's just going to be a social event for women. We're asking them to bring a box of menstrual products, and we're just going to socialize. We're going to have a few guest speakers come and promote Tampon Tuesday, and we're just going to let you know how much this is needed in our community.
Perfect. So I'm going to be outnumbered is what you're saying.
You're definitely going to be outnumbered, but that's okay. You like that.
Well, I'm sure I'll be safe.
We'll give you lots of hugs.
Okay, I like hugs.
You'll be safe. Yeah.
I can take lots of hugs, no problem. So the guest speaker that's going to be there, what's she going to talk about?
So Mandy is from the Tampon Tuesday. She's the originating person from Tampon Tuesday in London. She started this in 2009, and she recognized that there was a need for menstrual products to be in our food banks. And so she was the initiator of Tampon Tuesday in London. They've since had almost 300,000 menstrual products donated to their food bank since she initiated this program in 2009. So I figured she was like the best guest speaker to come and speak at our event. So she'll be here. We're going to have Miles from the food bank. He's going to be a guest speaker talking about the need in our community. So I'm really excited. The mayor is going to come and be as a guest speaker and let everyone know that he supports this event for women in our community. So I'm excited about it.
Okay, so I won't be the only guy there.
You will definitely not be the only guy. The mayor will be there and Miles will be there. So there's two anyways. My husband's coming too.
There?
Yeah. The mayor will be there. Yeah.
Right.
I'm assuming that Brian White will be there because he's supporting our initiative as well. Probably Bill Dennis will be there. So there will be some other men there. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
I think this is great that you're doing this. And of course, I'm throwing some laughter in there. And I think, we try to, because it's always been that uncomfortable thing, I think, tampon. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's nice to see that we're breaking that barrier because it's a health thing. It's a financial thing for some people.
Yeah.
I when I first heard about it, I kind of went, what? Why is this happening? And I sort of questioned. I didn't want to, no, not questioned. I sort of just thunk about it for a minute and like, why is this really needed? And then honestly, I talked to my wife about it and I talked to some other people. And then, I did some more research, of course. And I went, wow, probably because I'm a male, but had no idea how much it was really needed. And of course, in talking to Miles too, he reminds me about their people have to make a choice between this or this, and they shouldn't have to make that choice. But there are people in our community that are in that position, and you might honestly be surprised who those people are.
Exactly.
Sometimes. So fantastic, and I'm glad I can help you out with that. It's obviously a Tuesday night, and we're going to go and socialize and have a chat and great opportunity to network as well. Would you see this happening again, probably then moving forward?
So what we're hoping to turn it into is a monthly event where whether it be the second Tuesday of the month that women come out to a certain location and they bring their tampons, have a glass of wine, have some appetizers, and drop their tampons off to go to the end of the shepherd. So we're hoping that turns into a monthly event where we had our planning meeting tonight. We're currently talking about that, and we're reaching out to some well-known business people and restaurants to hopefully have this be a monthly event. And I'm hoping to let you know next Tuesday at the Tampon Tuesday event where that's going to be.
Okay, perfect. Well, keep me posted on that. And I'm looking forward to it, actually. If anything, I get a chance. I haven't seen you in person in a while, so I get to give you a hug and say hello, and some other folks there as well that I'm looking forward to seeing. And the team's still there with you. Hello, team.
Hello, team. Say hi, Dave. Hi, Dave. Hey, say hi.
Well, thanks so much for being here. Is there anything else you want to add that I missed, or?
Well, I just want to add because one more thing. So you remember our friend Alice that died from toxic shock syndrome in high school. Do you remember that happening? And I think we were in grade 13. Maybe that happened. And so it really is a health issue too. And what I don't want happening is the people having to wear their tampon an extra long time. So that's the other issue we haven't even brought up. And that's a poverty issue. If somebody is having to wear their tampon for like 12 hours, that's unsafe. And so people have to think about that side of the issue too. If women are living in poverty and they're having to wear their tampon too long, then that is a health issue as well as an equity issue.
Right. Good point. Christine is out there. Of course, we all know Christine. She's all about choices and accessibility. Tampon Tuesday and pads too, right?
Pads too. Christine, thank you so much for bringing that up. We call it Tampon Tuesday, but it's pads, it's diva cups, it's whatever you want to bring that will benefit people that are menstruating, right? So that's the issue, and it's not about tampons. It's about diva cups. It's about pads. So bring whatever you are comfortable with.
All right, sounds good. Tampon Tuesday. There, I said it again.
Good job, Dave.
Keeping track. 1, 2, 3, 12.
12.
On Tuesday, happening at the Workplace Group on Tuesday, May the 28th from 6 to 8 p.m. I'll be there as the MC, and some other special guests will be there as well. And looking forward to seeing you, Michelle. Thank you so much for being here, and wave at the ladies that are behind the camera there.
Hey.
All right, thanks. Have a good one. Tampon Tuesday. There you go. Like I said, I never thought I would be saying that on the show, but it is important. I support what they're doing. Michelle had reached out to me and asked me about it, and I spent some time finding out more about it. So glad I did. You can find out more about Tampon Tuesday coming up shortly. Oh, when things go wrong, and they will, here we go. All right. My next guest, I'm very excited to have him here. He's quite a story, and he's here to tell part of his story, but he also wants to share something else that he's doing that's important to him. Rock star photographer, Richard Beland. How are you, Richard?
I'm good, David. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much I know it's a holiday, so we probably pulled you away from family and stuff for a little bit, but I could probably do a documentary 2-hour show on you.
I'm into it. Just tell me when and where to be.
Let's do it. Richard Beland, you are known as a rock star photographer. You really have, and I know that's not a label you've given yourself, but you've certainly earned it. I mean, here we are. You're talking. There's Mick Jagger.
Yeah, that's in Chicago. Geez, that's a while back now. That one, 1994.
Yeah, which is an example of how long you've been doing this.
Yeah, I photographed my first show in 1986, but I've been doing it professionally since 93. So, geez, how many years is that? 26 years, I think.
So out of all this photography that you've done, could you write a book to go with it? I mean, you meet some pretty interesting people. Do you get to interact with all these stars as well?
Well, not every one of them, but I have interacted with lots of them, definitely. I'm not really, I kind of like to play a little bit in the back and let the camera do the work more than me interacting. Yeah. But certainly there's lots of bands that I have worked directly with. And as far as writing a book, I think there's probably something that's going to surface at some point.
Aha.
Yeah, we're working on some things. Everything like that takes so long.
Yeah.
You can't just make a book and plop it out in 3 months or whatever. Those things take time, and I'm a type of person, if I'm going to do something like that, I really want to do it right, and I want to go big.
Well, you certainly, and you and I've sort of known each other for a couple of years, but we've only really gotten to connect a little closer in the last little while. And we seem to have a lot of the same philosophies, but that I know that's one for you, is you want to do it right, or I'm not doing it.
Exactly. Yeah, I like to immerse myself in every project, sometimes to a fault even. And if it's something I don't have time for, then I probably won't even touch it. But yeah, it's what I like to do. I like to create. I like to be involved, and more than anything, that's exactly what I want to do.
Yeah. So how did you get started? What was the aha moment for you that said, I need to be a photographer?
Well, maybe even the first concert that I photographed. I mean, if you want to go back before I even started photographing anything, I remember reading magazines when I was in high school. You know, I went to high school here in Sarnia at St. Clair, but I used to read Hit Parader and Cream Magazine, Rolling Stone, and I'd look at those pictures and think, who does this? What a great job that would be. And then I photographed my first show in 1986 on July 4th, and it actually worked out really well. I got some great shots. And then I think I did another show in October of that year. Got some great shots. The first show was Grateful Dead, Tom Petty, and Bob Dylan. The second one was Neil Young. And then the third one was U2 on their Joshua Tree tour, April 30th, 1987. I always remember that date. But maybe that was the aha, because I got those ones back, and I just got some really great shots of Bono and The Edge. And I thought, wow, this is kind of cool. This is something that I could see myself pursuing. And it went from there.
You know, you talk like your first concert that you did was the Grateful Dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's like being a musician and playing Carnegie Hall your first gig. Like, how do you don't just walk in and go, hi, I'm a photographer. Let me shoot you, Mr. Big Celebrity. Like, how did you pull that off?
Well, it's actually is exactly what you just said, because the Grateful Dead were really low key about things. Especially back then, where you could record their shows, you could photograph their shows, and as long as you weren't being obnoxious about it, nobody said much about it. So that I actually did just walk into into that concert with my camera, and that was at Rich Stadium in Buffalo, probably 60, 70,000 people, and I just walked in and I photographed it from the crowd.
Oh.
But once I made it into college, I started studying photography in maybe 1990. I started shooting for the school newspaper, and that kind of just opened doors there. And the editor for the school newspaper, you know, we were mostly photographing stuff around the college at the time. And I asked him, I said, can't we do things that are bigger? Maybe going to Toronto, certainly bigger shows in London. And he said, well, if you want to do all the work, the legwork of meeting people and making connections, I'll support it. And I've always been a bit of a keener. I'm certainly highly motivated. And so I started making phone calls. This is before the internet, so you couldn't just tap away on the keyboard.
Right.
You actually had to pick up the phone and make real calls. And so I started making some connections. And right in those years, I'd photograph Rush, ZZ Top, Pink Floyd on their, maybe that's a Division Bell or Momentary Lapse of Reason tour. I forget the names now. But I photographed some big things before I even had left college. So I started making some good connections early on. And then by the time, sorry,
no, you call them connections. And that's probably a term we use a lot, but I'm sure you're building a lot of relationships in order to be able to, because there's a big trust factor in what you do, I would think.
Definitely a trust factor, and networking and relationships is certainly a huge part of it. I tell I have a bunch of students, and I tell them people don't just hire a photographer, they're hiring a person. So making a connection is really important, and, you know, using manners, being polite, looking people in the eye, and getting to know people, and making sure that it isn't just about you, it's about the people you're working with. And making good, solid connections, and then being trusted. They want somebody that's going to go in there and do a job, always produce consistent results, always produce results. And you're not in there trying to do selfies and looking for autographs. Nobody in the record industry wants that.
Yeah. Well, that was something else that, because I've been fortunate to have access to that type of thing too sometimes. Sure. And there really is just a respect, I guess, is probably the right word as well. Have you ever been starstruck though? Did you ever have a difficult time with that?
In the beginning, it's not that I was starstruck, but I'm a bit of an introvert. I'm kind of like introvert meets extrovert, depending on what situation I'm in. But in the beginning, I was really shy, and it took me a while to warm up. So it's not that I was starstruck, but there are two specific times that I do remember being totally starstruck. One was meeting Tony Bennett, and I was a little tongue-tied to speak to Tony Bennett, and I was kind of stuck I had to have some sort of conversation, and that ended up actually working out really well because he wrote me a personal letter afterwards and thanked me for the photographs I brought him. So that was great. And then the other time I met Bob Gruen. I don't know if you know that name, but Bob Gruen's a big photographer from the 70s, photographed Kiss and Led Zeppelin, everybody really. But meeting him really threw me off. And to me, that's the bigger star than even the celebrities, right? So I actually went off into the corner, kind of gathered myself, and then went back and spoke to him again and ended up working out fine. Those were 2 times where I definitely was starstruck.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely in a world where some interesting things happen. And I mean, you're coming across some really talented people. Now, you don't have to give me any names, obviously, but I'm going to ask this question. Were any of them like real jerks?
It's so funny you ask that because that's what everyone asks, and I always wonder why do people ask that? Why doesn't someone ask who was the nicest? There's only one person, and I won't say names because there's no need for that. But backstage, there was this thing where you weren't allowed to look this person in the eye when you passed them in the hallway, and that really irritated me because I thought, well, who is that important that you can't look them in the eye? But that's it. I've met Ringo Starr, and this is meeting a Beatle, and he was totally down to earth. And I've met Dolly Parton, or some really big names that were completely amazing and accessible, and just like talking to a normal person. So
they really are. They're just a normal person living their passion, the same as you are. You're just somebody who worked hard and made sacrifices. And speaking of sacrifice, can we talk about that for a minute? Because there had to be some sacrifices for you, not just as a photographer, but this is a business for you as well. So what kind of sacrifices did you have to make along the way?
I don't think really so much in the way of sacrifices. I have people that say, oh, do you want to go for a drink, or do you want to go for dinner? And I don't really do that kind of thing because all my time is spent either being a parent or creating. So it's kind of like I don't have a work life and a social life. I just have a life that it's all one. So I guess if you had to think, maybe I sacrifice a social life. But when I was younger, I socialized a lot. But nowadays it's either about being dad or it's about work. And I'm really happy to be that person. So maybe that's a sacrifice. I used to sacrifice a lot of nights. Because that's when if you're photographing concerts, you're primarily out at night. I've kind of slowed down on that a little bit since I became a parent. My kids are 8 and 10 years old now, so I spend a lot of time. I used to be out 5 nights a week, maybe 6 nights a week shooting. Now, if you average it out, it's probably 2 nights a week.
Gotcha.
Does that answer it? Yeah, a little bit, but not so much sacrifice.
Well, I know like I said, we could go. And before we do move forward to the next part, I will say, okay, so who was the nicest one?
Well, the nicest people are both Canadian bands that I've worked with. The Tragically Hip are a band that have treated me very well for years and years and years. I worked for them since 1993, right up until the last tour. But primarily there was a 10-year decade in there where I'd photographed I photographed them about 150 times. So the bulk of that was within a 10-year spread. And then the other band who's been incredibly kind to me is Nickelback. And I know Nickelback, they take some heat for whatever reason that is beyond me, but they are some of the kindest, most generous, normal rock stars that I've ever worked with.
Oh, that's fantastic. Isn't it interesting? You say beyond me, like, perspective or perception to people, I guess, is certainly a part of it, but you don't always know the real deal. And you talk about the Tragically Hip. You really did have some one-on-one time with the band, totally, but you had some one-on-one time with Gord.
Yeah, the bulk of my interaction was with Rob Baker, who's the lead guitarist with the long hair. He's kind of the one that's in charge of the creative side of the band. So him and I work pretty closely together. And then, yes, I had some incredible times with Gord Downie. I photographed his solo record, Battle of the Nudes. And that's kind of a cool story because if you go on a photo shoot with me, you'll see I usually work with 2-3 assistants. I like to have a digital tech. I bring loads and loads of lights. And before the shoot we did for Battle of the Nudes, Gordon called me up, and he knew that I worked like this because I'd done a couple shoots with the Tragically Hip. So he knew that I like these big productions. For this one, he actually called me up and said, can you not bring any assistants, and can you not bring any of lights? Can we just go out and do a photo shoot with available light and keep it low key? And even to this day, like, maybe it's my crutch, like I like to work with all this, but of course I said, okay, sure, let's do it. And we took the ferry out to the island together, Toronto Island, and we worked out at this there's a station there's a recording studio out there called the Gas Station, owned by Dale Morningstar, and we spent the day out there together, just Gordon and I. Dale was there, but he was off doing his own thing, and we did exactly what Gordon wanted to do. I kept it low key, it was all available light, and we just had some great conversation all day, and yeah, it was really a memorable day, one that I'll never forget.
Oh, fantastic. Well, we're going to be interviewing you some more, and we'll do a longer one just specifically on you. And thanks for sharing all the stories. But I know there's something else that's really important to you as well. And through all of this, you've kind of come through your travels and full circled back to now you teach the photography course at Lambton College.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the coordinator for the photography program at Lambton College. I'm one of the main instructors. We have 3 or 4 instructors that are we split up the classes. I teach, I think, 7 or 8 of the classes. And we have a great program. It's a 2-year program. All of our instructors are working photographers, and I think that's really great for the students because anyone can stand in front of the class with a textbook. We're actually teaching from what we know. And we have a really great program here. And what else can I tell you? Well, I'm in the studio. You can see some of it behind me. We have a photo contest that we're working on right now. Actually, we just launched it a couple days ago. So any of your listeners out there might want to keep an eye on that. It's called Hometown Pride, and we're accepting photographs up until May 30th. And there's a lot of great prizes. We have a lot of local community members that have donated prizes, Patty's and Selena's and Artopia, Carmen's Photo Source. A lot of people. Grand prize is a Nikon camera. So that's going to be really good. And if you just look on the internet, you can find that by searching Lambton College Photography Photo Contest.
Yeah, and you said, and this is and we're going to share all this, folks, after the show. I'll have the links for you to go find out more about the contest. And I think that's a really neat idea. Is this something you've done before, or is this the first time?
It's the very first time we did the photo contest. It came up in a meeting. I had an idea for it. I had this grand idea, typical of me, big. They asked me to scale it back a little bit, so we did scale it back a touch, but it's still big. If you look, once you get on there, you'll see how many great prizes we have. So no, it's the first time, but I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be cool. And on June 18th, we're having a bit of a party here at the studio where we'll wrap it up and give out the prizes that night.
Yeah, I saw it and I went like, wow, what a fantastic idea, because there might be some hidden talent out there that has
there's definitely hidden talent out there.
Maybe they're not, they're the shy artist maybe, or I don't know if my work's good enough, or just the opportunity itself. And through your program that you teach, and I know you and I kind of had this conversation the other day when we were setting this up. And I know the answer to this, so please don't be insulted when I ask this question, but why not just go on YouTube?
Oh, man, that's a worse question, but that's a great question. Because, first of all, you don't get feedback from YouTube.
Yeah.
So when you're in a 2-year program, you're getting constant feedback, you're getting constant support, constant supervision, and you can only learn a couple things on YouTube. If you want a good foundation in photography, you need to study photography, whether it's with us at Lambton College, which we prefer, or some other college in Ontario. But, come to our program, because we're really going to give you a good 2 years here. But you can't learn enough of it on YouTube. Not if you want to be a professional photographer. You need a formal education. It's really that straightforward. Or you're only going to know a couple things, and you need you need to be versatile to be a professional photographer.
Or you might figure it out, but it might take you 10, 15, 20 years.
Well, or longer. You can't just go over to Best Buy and buy a camera and expect to put a sign in your lawn and say photographer.
Yeah,
there's way more to it than that.
Yeah, and I know that. I just had to put that out there in such a way that people understand, because I think a lot of times we do. Hey, I do it too. I rely on YouTube, and then
you should come and take our program.
What? Yeah, I am going to take the program. I was telling you that the other day. I was like, I learned so much. And honestly, and I said this to you, Richard, the other day, I'll say it again so everybody watching can hear. The fact that Richard Beland is teaching this at our college and his experience, and I'm not even just talking the rock star side of things. There's some great experience there, but his knowledge and skill and that being shared, we're so fortunate to have you here in Sarnia, Lambton, and teaching at Lambton College. So I think it's important for people to understand that. That would be another reason to take the photography course at Lambton College. It's just the fact that you are there. So we're blessed for that. What about, here's the next question. I got one of these. What is that? That's not a professional camera. That's a camera. Give me a call. That's what that's phone with a camera. You must come across that now a lot these days as a photographer. Well, yeah. I mean, let's face it. The phone cameras do make good photographs, but there's so many limitations to a phone camera. You can't. Oh, someone just said, "Why can't I just use my iPhone?" No. He's being funny. First of all, the file's so tiny. There's nothing you can do with it. And you don't have any control over what the settings are on it. So you can't work with your shutter speed. You can't work with your aperture. And if you really want to be a great photographer, it's all about controlling that creativity. You can have these great ideas up here, but you need a professional DSLR to really get those photographs out, those wonderful creative ideas. With a telephone, and I got mine here, there's only so much you can do with it. And it's really just a quick photo, and it's a fixed lens on there, and it's a wide angle lens. No. There's no conversation there. You need to be okay at a family picnic. Pardon? It might be okay at a family picnic. Yeah, of course. You know, if you're hanging around with your children in the park or whatever, or a family picnic, you're right. You don't want to pull out this big DSLR during the family picnic. I get it. And a good example would be the other day when I sent you some photos of Gord Downey. Oh, yes. Back in 2015. And I said, you were probably shaking your head going, oh, I really want to help this guy out, but wow. I do want to help you. I know, but you did, and you did help me out, and you did a fantastic job. Thanks for that. I've got the proofs, but I get what you're saying, you know, and that was on an iPhone 3GS back in 2015. So well, they weren't bad. They weren't terrible. Definitely not. It's okay. It's all about having my horizon straight. It was like you're shooting like this. I think I was. Yeah. They were the last band on. Oh, yeah, there you go. I've been sitting there a while. Christy is out there. She says, awesome about the contest and the program at Lambton College Fund. Any part-time courses available, or two-year full-time best choice? Oh, that's a fantastic question. Okay, to answer the question, yes, 2-year full-time is your best choice. But here's the thing. We're announcing right now, I'm going to the Sarnia Photographic Club on Tuesday night to formally announce it. We have something called a Board of Governors certificate. And what it is it's a package of 4 courses, and we're going to call it the Foundation of Photography, I think it's called. The 4 courses are digital photography techniques, where you'll learn the fundamental basics of your camera. Lighting techniques, so you'll learn the fundamental basics of working with available light and working with some studio flash. Design and composition, that's all about looking through your viewfinder and deciding what's in and what's out of the shot, and how to put the elements within the frame, put them in there so they make sense and they help with storytelling. And then the 4th course will be computing for photographers, and that'll be the fundamental basics of Photoshop. You can they're all fall-time courses. You can take them all at once if you want to do, or you can take them 1 a year or 2 a year, 3 a year, however you want to do it. And then when you finish those 4 courses, you'll have something called a Board of Governors certificate. So they're kind of part-time. I guess you could say they are part-time. Okay, so there's flexibility there. Yes. And you can find those online. If you go to the Lambton College photography landing page, there's a prompt there, and you can follow that link. And I think you can register right online now. Okay.
And it's a big deal. We're going to be rolling that out formally as of Tuesday, but you have the sneak peek on it right now.
That's awesome. Well, Richard, thank you so much. And I've gone a little over time here. I've got to move on to my next guest, but
Okay.
we're going to get together. We're going to do a full interview with you and share more of your story and what's happening at the college. And there's Richard's email address up on the screen. Christine or anybody else. I know Christine is a photographer, so I know she'll be very interested
Hi, Christine.
in joining you there as well. Richard, thank you again so much. Enjoy the rest of your holiday.
Thanks so much for having me, David. Good day.
You're welcome. Richard Beland, quite a story, rock star photographer for sure. And we've got him right here at Lambton College, an amazing facility here at Lambton College. I've discovered that over the last few years. And Richard, on top of all of his skills, he's got some very positive philosophies going on that he can also teach you in the course as well. So thanks again to Richard Beland for that. All right, moving on. It's another walk. There's lots of walking going on, but this time it's for supporting juvenile diabetes. And we've got two guests joining me here. I've got Alison Mahon. Thanks for being here, Alison.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome. And then we've got Joanne Cunningham here as well. Joanne Cunningham Crow. Is that right?
Sure is.
Okay. So, Alison, let's start with you. Juvenile diabetes.
Yes, my great niece was diagnosed as a type 1 diabetic when she was 15 months old. So I wanted to see if we could bring that walk to Sarnia. So I have touched base with all sorts of great people, and we're organizing the JDRF walk in Sarnia, which is happening this Saturday, May 25th, in Canatera Park at the Seaway Kiwanis Pavilion, which is near the animal farm. Registration starts at 9, and the introductions and that will be about 10:15, and the walk will start around 10:30. And so far there are about 16 teams registered with about 118 participants. And to date, the funds that are raised are $15,374.50.
Right, which is great, but still need more. So Joanne, I said, no, that's great, but still need more. But Joanne, thanks for joining us here today as well. What's your part in all this?
Well, my daughter was diagnosed about 3.5 years ago. So I am the mother of a type 1 diabetic, and I got together with Alison about 3 years ago. This is our third walk, and we decided we wanted to do something about this, and here we are, 3 years in.
So let's talk about, okay, so there's a walk, that's great, and I think a lot of people are going to come out and support that, but let's talk about juvenile diabetes. Are you talking about type 1 diabetes?
Correct.
Type 2?
Type 1 diabetes, that's when the pancreas has completely shut down and the body does not produce any insulin whatsoever. So
Right.
type 1 diabetic has to count carbs and such and take insulin on a daily basis, 24 hours a day.
So I'm type 2 diabetic, so I can relate a little bit, but I know there's big differences between type 1 and type 2.
Mm-hmm.
How does this affect a young person's life?
How doesn't it affect their life, I guess?
Yeah.
It affects everything, from their everyday eating to how they go to school to how they play sports or any outside activities or anything. The weather, sleeping, hormones, you name it, it affects their lives.
Yeah. So not an easy thing on a daily basis to try to.
It is not. It gets, you just do it. If they're younger, some people say it's easier, but they get by, but it's still hard for them.
Yeah. What about the expense?
It's very expensive to be a diabetic. There are wonderful programs out there, considering they're pediatric. There is from the government. There's tons of programs out there, but it's still very pricey.
Yeah.
And Joanne can actually talk a little bit to this, but even when you think about before, they used to always have their fingers pricked, and then their fingers would become quite calloused, and it's not as easy for them for the fingers, so they're checking other areas. But now with technology and Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, it's all about research to try and find cures or to make life easier for people living with type 1 diabetes. So there's now swipe cards that Joanne can tell you a little bit more about, so that children and adults as well don't need to be pricked as much.
Yeah, there's it's called there's the Freestyle Libre. So it's it's a swipe, so it's a device you wear on your arm or anywhere on your body. You take a sensor and you swipe it, and it'll tell you your blood sugar without pricking your finger. Or my daughter wears something that's called a Dexcom. So it's called a continuous glucose monitor. So it's attached to her body 24/7, and it sends to her iPhone her number 24 hours a day. So she just has to open up the app on her iPhone, and it tells her number without pricking her finger. And
There's an app for that.
There's an app for that. So, and then I have an app on my phone. It's called the Follow app. So when she's at school and I'm at work, I just pick up my phone, punch the app, and I can see her blood sugar whenever I want to. It's
And
amazing.
how old is she?
She is 12, and
Right.
she was 8 when she was diagnosed. But
Okay.
there's babies that have been diagnosed at 4 months old.
Yeah.
So, and they wear
Now-
these Dexcom. So that,
You talk about
Go
the app, and you can check the sugar levels.
Mhm.
Is she okay with you checking up on her?
Well, maybe not. She's fine if her sugars are okay, but if she's a little high and I say you need to correct in the middle of class, she's not always too happy with that, but
Yeah.
it's
You
okay.
think so? She might go, well, mom's watching, so I might as well just do this and get it right. It'd be that simple, right?
Exactly. Because that's how they do.
Well,
She is
and,
12.
and at that age too, especially at 12. I mean, I know it affects younger ages, but you start getting into those teen years. Life can be
Mhm.
busy, and different things are going on up here. And oh yeah, I got to deal with this diabetes thing.
Yep.
That has to be something that you as a parent have to continually deal with as well. It's not even just the diabetes itself, but the I guess the education to
Yep.
to them that this is really important, because things can go really, really bad if you don't take care of it, right?
Really, really bad, really, really fast. So it's hard to, you want to educate their peers, you want to educate their classmates, their teachers, and if they do anything outside of the school, you want to teach them to them. If they go to
Oh, you're right.
sleepovers, you have to tell those parents how to help your kid. So it's all, it's consistently trying to educate people all the time.
Yeah. And Alison, what about you? Back over to you. You this has affected you again personally. So do you do that education thing as well to other people? Is that something that you're involved with?
Well, I through the walk, and then of course when I'm talking to people, I'm talking about type 1 diabetes and the importance of trying to find ways to, as I said, alleviate the burden on people who are living with type 1. And just watching my little great niece, as I said, she was diagnosed as 15 months. I have to say the one thing I find is amazing is how resilient children are. I know within a couple of months of her being diagnosed, if she wanted something to eat and her parents weren't sort of watching her, she's grabbing the pen and the paper out of the knapsack because she knows they need to record what she's doing. And she's putting her finger out to have her finger tested. She's 5 now, but children are very resilient. So it's wonderful to see how they're able to adapt with this. And that's why it's so important for the parents to make sure everybody around them is educated, so they're always able to help the child or the adult who has type 1.
That's interesting you say that, like you say, they're resilient. That's the perfect word for it. And I guess it's one of those things too that I don't think about if I don't have it, or if it's not in my family. Like I'm like, it's not my issue, right? So
That's right.
And then me as if I were a teacher or a Cub Scout leader or someone who interacts with other people's children, I would need to be educated about that, I guess. And there's a lot to know. So is there enough time spent with those types of people to help them understand what they need to know?
Go ahead,
Joanne.
It's hard. I mean, you can try to talk with sometimes to the teachers. Some teachers are willing to take in, absorb everything, go on the internet before they take your child in September. Others are, well, my grandfather's a type 2, so I understand everything. And it's hard to tell people that type 2 and type 1 are two totally different things. It's like it's an invisible disease. Clarissa looks 100% healthy, but inside she could be as high as 17 or as low as 2, and those are both very dangerous things, but you can't tell by looking at her that she is that sick.
And David, we should also say locally there's the Diabetes Education Center at Blue Water Health which is often, I know they can go out and help educate the teachers in the school. So I think they're quite supportive of the parents and the young people as much as they can as well.
They are fabulous.
Is that available to like if I was a scout leader or something, said, hey, like, and I guess that comes from relationships too. With me in that position, I would need to have the relationship with the parent.
100%. Those ladies are at the clinic. They will come and talk to anybody who is willing to listen. If you want them to go talk to the class, they will. If you want to go talk to the scout leaders, they will. You want them to go talk to anybody, they will talk. They have no problem educating.
Yeah.
The
Well,
ladies
that's
there
good
are fabulous.
that's available. Again, it's probably something you don't think about until
You need
that
it.
moment, however it comes along.
Mm-hmm.
Now, type 2 diabetes, and I only know this because that's me, but that's a curable thing, right? You can actually change. You can come out of type 2 diabetes, but type
Yes
1.
and no, yes.
Well, yeah, but you can grow away from it, like from medication and all that sort of stuff. But you still have to look after it. Yeah, but type 1, there's not a cure. It's
No cure.
your children to this point, rest of their life.
Rest of their life, forever, will have some sort of insulin attached to them 24 hours a day. My daughter wears a pump 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, consistently, unless she's taking a shower.
My nephew's the same way, so I can relate to that. Yeah, go ahead, Alison.
I was just going to say that's why some of the research with JDRF is so important. I'm just looking at one of their pages and they've commented on some of the research is the development of a commercially viable artificial pancreas in a closed loop system. So they're always working on ways to try, and hopefully they'll be able to find something within the lifetime of people right now. Clarissa, Joanne's daughter, my great niece, and that to make life easier for them.
Yeah.
Yes. That's why it's so important to help the JDRF and other researchers out there. We gotta find a cure for this thing. It's insane.
Right. Here's Christine Feeds is out there. She's been participating in the show today. Thanks, Christine. These days, what kind of foods do we want to have on table considerations of all food sensitives these days? Education in our own homes with loved ones helpful. What kind of foods do we want to, like if you're coming over to my house for dinner, there's some things I probably need to know.
Well, the way I look at it, my daughter will only be 12 once. She'll only be a kid once, and I want her to enjoy being a kid.
Yeah.
So I tend to say, eat what you want in smaller. You can still have a piece of cake. You can still have ice cream. You just can't have an abundance of it, and you just have to bolus properly of your insulin. I mean, you can't take the children's lives away from them as being a kid because they have diabetes. Kid first, diabetes second. That's how I look at it.
That's got to be hard, though.
It is.
Draw that line sometimes, and
it is. I mean,
you can have it, but
have it, but
give me a Ferrari and saying I can only drive it for a block.
Yes, but you still got to do it.
I know.
Yes,
but you know what I mean.
Hard. It's hard. I mean, when you're in school and you have those special treat days and everybody else is having 2 or 3 pieces of candy and you can only have one, it hurts. I mean, she's come home very upset before, right? You just do.
How would this affect someone when traveling? You know?
You have an extra big bag of everything. You take
and
double
actually,
of everything.
We did hear about someone traveling and actually ended up staying longer than they needed to and didn't have their supplies with them. So luckily knew someone else who was connected to a type 1 diabetic and were able to go get supplies from that person's house. So it is, you always do have to be prepared, don't you, Joanne?
You do. We went to Sarnia yesterday to go to the movies and we had to come home because Clarissa was short on insulin in her pump. So we were in Sarnia, raced back here to Oil City and went back into Sarnia to watch our movie.
Yeah.
Because you just have to.
Inconveniences of type 1 diabetes.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
She's still here. That's all that matters.
Well, that's right. At the end of the day, right? You know, you do what you have to do to make it work. So progressing forward again, back to the walk that's happening Saturday. And
This Saturday, sorry, Canatara Park.
Yeah, right. So can people just show up, or do they have to register in advance?
People certainly
Oh,
can
no.
just show up. They're welcome to register as well. If you don't want to walk and you're just interested in donating, you can do that as well online. You're going to post the link for us, I believe, David.
Yep.
And just so people are aware, one of the large corporate sponsors of the JDRF Walk Across the Country is Sun Life Financial. And I'll just make a pitch. Between May 15th and May 29th, they're matching online donations of $25 or more up to a total of $125,000. So if anyone's interested in donating, your donation can be matched.
Up to 125,000?
Yes, and this is across the country, right?
Yeah, but
Yes.
still,
That's pretty amazing.
that is exceptionally amazing. Is that a term? Exceptionally amazing? Good. Exceptionally amazing.
We'll use it.
There,
And
I
I
just,
should
And
say,
at the walk, at the walk, we're going to have pizza. We're going to have face painting, some games for the children. We're going to have a blow up obstacle course. I mean, we're going to have fun at this walk.
can I get
We're all
one
about the fun.
too?
Absolutely.
certainly.
Okay. Like if you show up and you donate, you can do whatever you want. Sure.
Absolutely.
We appreciate people coming out and supporting.
That's
Yeah,
right.
fantastic. Well, ladies, thank you so much for taking time out of the holiday here today to share this and give a little bit more insight about how the effects of type 1 diabetes can have on not just on the person dealing with it, but the families around it as well. So is there anything else you want to throw out there before I let you go and get back to your families?
Type 1 diabetics isn't just for children. So if there's any type 1 adults out there that would love to come, we would love to have them come out and show our kids, especially our younger ones, that this is okay. It's you grow up with it and you will be okay. So if there's any older type 1s out there, we'd love to have you come out.
Joanne's absolutely right. There's some great role models out there. For example, Max Domi has type 1 diabetes, and there's been people who've been living with it 60, 70 years. So it's great role models for the new ones.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, all the best. And I might see you out there on Saturday. I got another one myself, but it's a busy place to be in Sarnia on Saturdays. But you never know. I might show up and surprise you.
Thank you so much, David.
Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
here. Enjoy the
Thank
rest
you.
of the holiday. Joanne and Alison talking to us about Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation and their walk coming up this Saturday. We will be posting links within the half hour after the show. I need some time to get everything out there, but I'll be posting all the links. If you can't show up, you can click on the link and donate to them as well. And as Alison mentioned there at the end of that Sun Life is going to match dollar for dollar up to $125,000. That's fantastic. That's all across, but still, they're giving in $125,000. So fantastic. Well, one of the nice things about doing your own show is you don't have to stop right on time. You can go as long as you want. We did go over time today, but I'm so glad that we did. Thank you so much to all of my guests who joined me here. Of course, Michelle Parks and her friends, the ladies there, talking about Tampon Tuesday, May the 28th. Support it. It will be down at the Workplace Group on Front Street, and they're also the sponsor there. And of course, rock star photographer and teacher at Lambton College, Richard Beland. If you are interested in all in photography, or if you're already doing photography, he'd be a great person to learn from. Thanks, Richard Beland, for sharing his story. And then, of course, you heard the ladies there talking about juvenile diabetes. Wow. We got through it. I hope you enjoy the rest of your holiday. That's all the time I got for you this week. Have a great week and an even better next weekend. I'll talk to you next time right here on the show live. Bye for now.